Doubt about it. You've heard on Monday that parts of the United States will go dark. From about 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. there will be a total solar eclipse, and we're not far from the path of totality. Now there will be a partial eclipse from sea to shining sea, and if you head south of the Quad Cities, you will be able to see 100% of the sun eclipsed by the moon. So to get to the science behind this amazing spectacle, Dr. Robert Mitchell from St. Ambrose University's Engineering and Physics Department is joining us now. And this is a phenomenon that people love to be a part of. We were just talking, I asked him, are you excited about the eclipse? And he said that's one way to put it. So this is very exciting.
Extremely exciting.
Extremely exciting. So for those who might not be familiar with what exactly an eclipse is, we kind of went through this back in 2017, but it kind of give a refresher of what happens during an eclipse.
So when the moon is in its new phase, it's more or less between the sun and the earth. An eclipse happens when the moon is exactly between the sun and the earth, and thus casts its shadow on the earth's surface.
Yeah. Yes. And so this is a situation that happens often around the world, but why is it that sometimes we in the United States don't experience it while other parts of the world might be experiencing it?
Well, one reason is that the moon's shadow comes in two parts, an umbra and a penumbra.
Okay.
The penumbra, if the penumbra is falling on your part of the earth, then the moon is only partly covering the sun, and that's when you get a partial eclipse.
All right, so I wanted to kind of go into that as well. So we've got the partial eclipse, we've got a total eclipse, which we'll be experiencing on Monday, and then we've got an annular eclipse, which happened last year, was that right?
Yes, last
eclipse?
October.
All right, so let's talk about the differences between that, because there are important differences.
The difference comes from the fact that the moon's distance from the earth is not always the same. Sometimes a little closer, sometimes a little farther. And when the moon is a little bit farther from the earth than usual, then the umbra, which is the part that caused the total eclipse, it doesn't even reach the Earth's surface. So anyone who is standing underneath where the umbra would be, the moon doesn't quite look big enough to cover the entire sun. So even at best, you're left with a little ring of sunlight around the moon's shadow, and that's what an annular eclipse is.
And we're kind of seeing that right now, the differences between those eclipses that you were just talking about. And you know, you kind of mentioned that a total solar eclipse can only happen when we're in the new moon phase. So, you know, tell our viewers why every new moon phase doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see the eclipse.
So, if you think of the Earth's orbit around the sun, it kind of forms an orbital plane. And then the moon's orbit around the Earth forms an orbital plane of its own. The thing is, the moon's orbital plane is tilted a little bit relative to the Earth's orbital plane, so that most of the time when there's a new moon, the moon's shadow falls either above or below the Earth and misses the Earth entirely.
Yeah. I mean, if you've not seen this eclipse, I mean, if you didn't see the one in 2017, now is your chance, because when is the next one? Do you know off the top of your head?
There will be a total solar eclipse in 2044 that only parts of Montana and North Dakota will see.
Okay, so you gotta go far away.
if you want one that's going to cover a larger part of the U.S., you have to wait till 2045.
All right, so obviously to see the solar eclipse, you can't look directly with the naked eye up into the sunlight, because obviously that would damage your eyes. You don't do that on a normal day, look directly in the sun. So you've brought some safety techniques with us. So the one thing that you probably heard about and you've seen in the grocery stores are these solar eclipse glasses. So you explain how these work, because right now I put these on and all I'm seeing is black. So this is to where you can safely look into the ultraviolet rays, right?
When you're wearing glasses like this, the only thing you can see is the sun or like a really, really, really bright flashlight or bulb.
Right. So when you're looking up, you'll be able to see, at least here in the Quad Cities where we're, what, 90% totality? Somewhere close to that.
90% max.
You'll be able to see just a little sliver of that sunlight when you have these certified safety glasses. Is it safe if someone has one of these from 2017? Is it safe for them to use it?
It should be if it follows the same safety requirements.
Okay, and of course the safety requirements are listed on the inside of these as well. So you want to be sure that you're getting a certified pair. Of course, these are at the hardware stores and et cetera around town. So you've also brought a couple different examples of how we can safely view this, right?
Well, if you're lucky enough to view the eclipse in a group or a public event where there are amateur astronomers setting up telescopes, this is the kind of filter they'd have on the front of their telescopes.
Okay.
It basically does the same thing as the glasses. It blocks out the vast majority of the sunlight. And it's important that it be a filter that goes in the front of the telescope that blocks most of the sunlight from getting into the scope at all, and that it fits securely on the front, and this model even has screws on it to help keep it secure.
Okay, and then you've got a pinhole projector, which this is something that I saw quite a bit of in 2017 of people using a pinhole projector. So talk about how that works.
Well, of course, the absolute safest way to view the solar eclipse is not to look toward the sun at all, but to instead project an image of the sun onto, say, a white piece of paper. And so what we've done here, if I can be able to show the inside. So what we've done.
Okay, so we got a piece of white paper on the inside with a cutout of a square on the outside of this. So basically, we want to get the sun to shine into that little pinhole there.
Through the pinhole here, it will project an image onto the white paper, and then this is a little viewing box for you to see inside. See, ideally, you want the box to be sealed up so that no ambient light gets inside while you're using it. So.
Sure, and if you just kind of Google how to do this, you'll get many different ways to do this, and it will shine the eclipse view right onto that piece of paper in there. So a very cool, simple way to do that safely.
There you
and
go.
You're also participating in many events here as we head toward the eclipse, and we do have some watch parties here on your screen. The Popular Astronomy Club will be hosting an event on April 4th to get kind of an in-depth look at what eclipses are ahead of the eclipse. So that happens at the Rock Island Midtown Watts Library. We also have a few other events going on as well. We've got the Quad Cities Astronomical Society and the Popular Astronomy Club hosting a viewing party to watch the eclipse at the Moline Public Library from noon to 3. That happens Monday, April 8th. And we also have another event to talk about as well. The Quad Cities Astronomy Society will be at the Bettner Family Museum to watch the eclipse as well. And I know that there's been several other events from all across eastern Iowa and western Illinois to view this very exciting eclipse. I know last time I viewed it, I was up in Dubuque, Iowa. I was in awe. I was overwhelmed. I wasn't really expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, but what I saw, it was very overwhelming. So it's a sight to see on Monday. All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Well,